Rob to talk you through all this.
TRRS MRX.
Two. Check 2, hello. Hello. What's up, folks? How's it going? How are you doing? Don Dark Sony, thanks so much for the 40 months. Tier 1 for all the support through the years. Don Dark Sony. Thank you for everything, sir. How are you doing, folks? Yeah, I saw the thing about Sam Bankman-Fried. Tough break. It's crazy what wokeness has done to our society. Like, it's not, you can't even like you can't just make up a fake currency and totally just defraud people for millions and millions of dollars anymore. What the fuck's happening in our society? You can't just make up a bunch of bullshit and have people give you billions of dollars anymore. We used to be a real country. We used to be a real country. This is bullshit. This is bull crap. 25 years. Yeah, and apparently, like, I saw Lol Overruled, Lex Peter saying, like, he has to do at least 20. Like, this is not like a thing. This is like, you're fucked kind of situation. Yeah, I would simply not make up this fake product to sell to people, which is what crypto is. You'll notice that I'm still, for now, still free, not in jail. This one simple trick. 1 minute you're slurping ape juice, the next you're making pruno in a shared toilet. Exactly. It can happen to any of us. The real scarism is what happens to this country when you could just kill people with opiates, non-health care, and skate off scot-free because you're a corporation. That is part of it too. It's like when you start roping in rich and powerful people into your schemes, then you have a problem. When you just oversee the deaths of millions of like poor and working class people, that's actually okay. That's actually fine to do. Crime is basically legal. Crime is basically legal as long as the money is funneling upwards and the violence is funneling downwards. When you start roping in people in the upper tiers, that's when you run into problems. That's when you end up doing time. That's what I mean, Ibusel. That's right. Even though he did make billions off the poors, I think that's one thing. Like we mock the downfall of the crypto bros, and we should mock them. Like they're absurd people, and we should of them. But like a lot of these big crypto exchanges convinced big hedge funds to invest lots of money, and those people that's not just like rich people. That's people's pensions and people's like in like unions and stuff like that. If you can pay the fines, all crime is legal. Cost of doing business. Yeah, when the government confiscates what little funds you have, or when they determine that your funds are actually fake. Good. That's a problem. Yeah, just got to start a payday loans company the old-fashioned way. That's right. Absolutely. Imagine making up fake currency and like instituting this kind of like pyramid scheme and screwing people over like that. Imagine how sick. Imagine how sick you would have to be. How sick and disturbed, sociopathic you'd have to be to create some kind of a system and invest and create. Encourage people to invest their funds into it and promise them that there's going to be some kind of like trickle down effect that they're going to profit from it, and making them feeling a sense of like community about it. Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine how disgusting that is? Makes me sick. Sick to even think about.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Yeah, in this case, fake currency that also fucks up the climate. That's important to point out. But he was like this effective altruist or whatever. No, he was making all those billions of dollars for a good reason, though. He was going to use those billions of dollars to do good stuff. There was about 50 magazine covers that he was on that explained this. Dimitri, thanks so much for 22 months.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Don Dark Sony, thanks for the gifted sub as well. Thank you, Don Dark Sony. I appreciate it. Most economic bubbles at least had an asset behind it. In crypto, the asset is literally nothing. It's really, well, it's true. Yeah. That's what the product is. It was like fairies. It's honestly was like fairies. If you just believe in it enough, you willed it into existence. If you believed in it, you can put money into it and it becomes real through your belief. But like, unfortunately, because the whole idea of cryptocurrency, that was kind of like a misnomer as well, right?
You can count on me.
It's not a
You're gonna have
currency.
good old Rob to talk you through all this.
It's not a currency. You can't go to the store and spend your cryptocurrency. It ceases to have value as soon as you try to get rid of it. Pizzicata, thanks for the 16 months. Thank you, Pizza. Pretty amazing stuff. NFTs. And like, I think the more like distance we put between ourselves and the whole NFT phenomenon, I think it's going to become even more like unimaginable. We're going to be asking ourselves, like, did we imagine that? Did that actually happen? How long was it really in retrospect? 9 months? The whole NFT phenomenon, like how long did that last realistically? It was not long. Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Was it 10 months maybe? It burst onto the scene as the new hot thing. All these celebs are promoting it and then just like poof, just gone. It's just gone overnight. And let's just all collectively agree to just never talk about this ever again. Let's agree to just pretend this just never happened. Yeah, this is a healthy economy, I think. All the Biden bros and like the economists are telling us the economy is so great. Is it though? If it was great, would this kind of stuff be happening? Would we be inventing fake currencies and trying to inject some kind of, or imbue these like worthless images with some kind of value? Would this kind of stuff be happening? Would it be happening if the economy really was healthy? That's how you know it was a kind of short-lived it was. Like, it's crazy that there hasn't been more. Like, the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. We've watched it a couple times. Jimmy Kimmel and Paris Hilton. It's such a scam. All these celebs came in and like fucking scammed people, and they just walked away from it. Wow, look at your apes. Wow, I got an ape too. There's cults and scams everywhere. No, it's a really, really healthy economy in a non-declining society. Washing and waxing my old Camaro. God damn. Apes. Pictures of apes. That really happened. That really happened. We did not collectively imagine that. Guys, I come here just to remember to drink water. It's better to have 1 stone on your path than 2 in your kidney. Have a good day. Thank you, Edra Mendes. I appreciate that. I did just drink a whole bunch of water right before starting. I can drink some more, though, if it's going to make you happy. I played soccer with some guys I didn't know a couple years ago that I'd bought some like Wu-Tang or other celebrity NFTs, or I knew that was going off in the dressing room about how it's a giant Ponzi scam. They're embarrassed. Somehow little old Dutch was able to figure this out before the finance bros, the economist bros. Little measly old graphic designer, old Dutch, was able to get to the bottom of that scam. I don't mean to like belittle you all. An ice cold Monster Energy drink is a great way to get water. You mean like one of these? Is that what you're referring to? Referring to one of People with money are dumb as shit. It certainly seems like that. Yeah. Any number of stones in one's path is better than one in one's kidney. I'm positive that I'm going to get that eventually. I've never been more certain of anything. Eventually going to get. It's going to really suck. I'm going to drink some water right now, actually. Man, the fucking noise gate. Eventually I'm gonna fix this. I tried to, because I had turned it off for a couple days for Kijiji, and I was getting all these sounds of, like, I was talking to VJ and I could hear like my fucking gross breathing. This is why I have one of those 1 liter bottles I just keep I gotta go back to that. This summer, I had my big giant plastic jug of water, and I was just always drinking out of that. I gotta get some more big plastic jug. I was pug coated, that's right. I just have this empty Gatorade bottle full of water. Chat, should I chug this whole water? This is for our friend Edro Mendez. Should I chug this whole thing? We chugging? We chugging over here? There we go. That was for you. Edro Mendez, that was for you. I always keep that Thang Diet Coke on me to stay hydrated. It would be funny just drinking out of like a big Stanley cup or whatever all day. Slamming Diet Coke all day. Ugh. Chug the Monster too. I don't know if I can go that crazy. I'm so hydrated right now that I don't even really feel like opening it. I am a little sleepy. I've been so, like, God, I'm really getting older, because, like, just going out on Saturday and drinking a bottle of wine and going to bed at like 2 and not getting a lot of sleep, I'm still, like, not recovered from that. Maybe I am now, but, like, it was Wednesday. Like, I was so fucking tired. I chilled out and napped and slept all day Sunday. Not slept, but I did have a little nap, and I chilled out all day and then went to bed at like a super early time, super normal time. One day I took like a 2-hour nap immediately after finishing the stream. I was talking about going to have a little lie down. After the stream, I immediately just walked over to my bed and lay down and slept for like 2 hours. And then last night, I was watching 3 Body Problem. I finished that, but I was at 9:45. I was like falling asleep. Like, I was so tired. I could barely finish one episode. And then this morning, my son was up at like 4:30. He woke up at like 4:30, and I was trying to get him to go back to sleep, and he just his brain was going, and he just couldn't get back to sleep. I did kind of sleep a little bit. Do you know why too? Because he came up with a new so one thing that he's become really obsessed with just over the last couple of weeks is Ninja Turtle ripoffs. Okay, not just Ninja Turtles, but he saw a YouTube video about all the different Ninja Turtle ripoffs. And he's, for some reason, this really activated his imagination. He's really thinking about all these different like ripoffs of Ninja Turtles, like Street Sharks. I never watched Street Sharks personally, but for some reason he got really into now Street Sharks. Not even like he's watched the show, but it's really the theme song that he like. He loves theme music. Shows. So he's been watching Street Sharks. I told him about Biker Mice from Mars. I told him about Bucky O'Hare, which was kind of like a Ninja Turtles-esque kind of thing. Remember Bucky O'Hare? So he's been thinking about his own like Ninja Turtle ripoff, which he called Battletoads was good too, yeah. Which he called Combat Crocs. He's invented this new team of mutant crocodiles called Combat Crocs. And he was up at like 4:30 in the morning, like asking me about that. Like, do you think it's a good name? What do you think about that? And I was just like, buddy, like, it's great. I can't talk to you about this right now. No, like, I can't talk to you about this right now. I've got to sleep. I've got to go back to sleep. He really wanted to talk to me about this. It was like still dark outside. So I did manage to get back to sleep. I'm not sure. Like, I think he was just lying. Crocs. Let's circle back on this in the morning, buddy. Yeah. That was pretty much it. Samurai Pizza Cats was as blatant as you could get. That's really blatant. When you lean back, the mic doesn't pick up your voice. God damn it. I don't know how the noise gate works. Maybe that's going to be better. Who knows? I think I might have to change. Okay, so this is kind of embarrassing. So that's I guess this is all to say that like my morning has been kind of like slammed a little bit. I brought him to school. Came back. I did come back. I had some pastries, then drank some coffee. Good. And I had to go get some stuff because so he's going to on Saturday. I was going to like when he's sleeping on Friday night, I was going to do Easter egg things so he can wake up on Saturday, go look around the apartment and get some Easter eggs and stuff because it's Easter weekend. And in fact, I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow because he doesn't have school. So I went and got that. I got some groceries. I got some eggs and basket and some good stuff for him to munch on. God damn it. Maybe if I increase the gain, that will help. Anyway, tired. God damn it. Check. Check 2. Hello. What about this? What about if I go back there? Is it cutting out? How about this? 2, 2. Check, check, check. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. What was that? Good? All right. Good. Thank you. Jeez. I was just saying that I went out this morning to get some stuff for like Easter because it's Easter weekend. And so yeah, I got some eggs and some like chocolate stuff. So when he's asleep tomorrow night, I'm gonna go like put around the apartment, put some like eggs and stuff, and he's gonna wake up and you'll be able to go and find some eggs, that kind of stuff, because kids like that kind of stuff on Easter. But I didn't have a chance to shower or anything, so I was trying to deceive you, chat. I admit, I was trying to deceive you because I'm wearing the same shirt that I was wearing yesterday. I'm wearing the same shirt, and I thought I could just throw a hoodie on top of it, and you wouldn't notice that I was wearing the same shirt. But now I'm overheating. Now I'm like getting sweaty and overheating from wearing this hoodie. So this has just been a disaster. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go change my shirt. I'm going to go change my shirt and not wear a hoodie. Just one sec.
In my self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die. In my self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die.
Two. Hello, check. Hello. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Yeah, it's me. Hello. Hey, folks. First. Kijiji is first. Do I need the hat? I'm second guessing everything today. I'm just second guessing everything. This is a disaster. I'm doing okay, Rylan. I'm doing okay. Anyway, good to see you for the first time today, Rob. How was the shower you almost certainly took earlier today? It was fantastic. I look and feel great. Anyway, so that'll be fun, right? I picked up a bunch of like Easter stuff. Gonna get a little like Easter egg hunt going around in my apartment. That should be cool, right? That'll be fun. That's good to know, Sean. I'm glad the tum tum is improving. That's great. Here, hold on. I'll try to find the drawing of the combat crocs. Do you guys like hearing about this? Like, I don't know if this is interesting content or whatever. I really like talking about the things that he thinks about and like the stuff that he's working on. I drew a picture of Homer. I like talking about the things that he's thinking about and working on because I just find it really interesting, like all this like ideas that he has. He's got all this, his brain is just going crazy at all times with all kinds of ideas. I find it really interesting because you remember them being like little babies, right? They're just like little larvas. And then eventually they turn into these little people that have like thoughts and ideas and interests and hobbies. I find that so cool. I think it's towards the end. He just fills up these books like so quickly. There they are. Hard to see. Mostly pencil. Those are the combat crocs. And their names all rhyme. I thought this was quite clever. Their names are Bash, Nash, Slash, and Smash. I thought that was pretty clever. So he was really thinking about this. Like he was thinking about this at like 4:30 in the morning. Dad, do you think that I think he's asked me that question, I would say probably 8 to 10 times. Do you think it's a good name? Combat Crocs? Like, yeah, I do think it's good. Yes. I think it's good, buddy. Then he asked me again, and then it's like at 4:30 in the morning. You think that's good? I do, yes. I don't want to talk about it right now though. It's very cool. I don't want to discuss it right now. Let's talk about this in the morning. No, I was lying actually. Yeah. So that's it, you know. That's what's been going on. Just been hanging out with him. Had like a tumultuous last couple of years, to say the least, with like family stuff. And I there's a lot of complicated feelings that go along with that. But one thing that I have really tried to do is like try to be the absolute best that I can be as like a parental figure. And that's one thing I do feel like I have been able to do, you know? I haven't been able to do a lot of things, but I've been able to pull that off. It's kind of my main focus. You know, I focus a lot on the work that I'm doing and trying to do a good job doing this stuff, and I try to do a good job doing that. Those are kind of my two main things that I have going on in my life. He needs a Splinter character too. Well, there isn't like a Splinter character, but there's like an evil scientist that created the Combat Crocs, and he's got a funny name too. What is it? I don't know if he wrote it down. Sylvester Grand. Sylvester Grand. That's the evil scientist that he puts him in these like chambers. There he is. Sylvester Grand. I showed his movie that he made the other day too, his little animation. I don't know if I mentioned this actually, but so I mentioned that there's like a film festival at his school, and that's what I was helping him because he did this whole animation by himself, but I was like, I put some music on it. I showed it the other day, and we submitted it to this like film festival that his school is doing. That's what I was working on the other day with him, and I heard back from the school, and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much for this like super creative contribution, and we love the animation and the music and everything." So he was really excited about that. I really hope. In fact, I think they should. I mean, I think it's a pretty good movie. Like that was animated by an 8-year-old kid on an iPad, like with his finger. I hope they show it at this festival though, because he's going to be really proud of himself, and he should be because it's really cool. But yeah, they wrote back and they said that it was like really cool, really like creative and good. So he was happy about that. Did he win the 10 grand? That would be nice if he did. I think he should. I think someone should give him 10 grand for sure, but I think it's more just like getting seen in this film festival thing. So what else is there? What else is there to talk about? I'm just talking about my personal shit. Talking about stuff I've been working on with him. I'm wondering if I should put on a video for you folks and just go and take a shower, because now I'm thinking about it. Now I feel like I would kind of like to. It's not like some days I can get by without doing that. Now I kind of feel like it'd be kind of nice. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. I saw the T-Wolves thing. It's pretty amazing. It's like surprising that didn't. Like I thought that was like almost a sure thing, that sale, and then it didn't. Putin wants Russia to get in on the console market. That's interesting. We're gonna get Russian consoles. A-Rod's people disagree, so I bet there's going to be a lawsuit coming. I've a little bit like checked out of NBA. Just this Raptors season has been so painful. I think they lost to I don't even know who they played last night. I think the Knicks. I think they lost by 40 at home to the Knicks. What a disastrous season. I really thought, even recently, I thought they might still be able to make a playoff push. And then Scotty Barnes got injured, so that just like, I guess they're bottoming out, but are not even necessarily going to get their pick. So there's a real strong chance that they're just going to have this disastrous season and really just come away completely empty-handed from it. Putin orders reboot of Russian gaming industry. Wow. He's really supporting gamers' rights as well. It's no wonder he's winning elections in a landslide here. Saw a review of Jonte's game he checked out of. Seemed like he was tanking for sure. I mean, if any of that is true, and by the way, speaking of crypto as well, I guess that's another thing that Jonte Porter is like a big crypto guy as well. If any of that is true, the stuff about Jonte Porter, and I feel like if there's a high likelihood that it is, we still have the suicide pact if the Raptors pick goes to the Spurs. Yeah, that's right. We do. Like, I don't even know if these like Jonte Porter games where he was like betting against himself, essentially, like how much money reasonably did he stand to make from those bets? Joe Polito, New Jersey legend. Joe Polito. Joe, hello, my friend. We always love the Joe Polito quarterly check-in. So, like, I don't even know how much money reasonably did he stand to make on, like, any of these prop bets that he was part of in this investigation. Like, I'm not a big, like, financial expert, but I'm willing to bet you're going to make more money if you can work your way into being, like, a rotation piece in the NBA, even if you're, like, an 8th or 9th man, than you're going to make from some bullshit, like, prop bets. You know what I mean? Like, I would just take the NBA money. Like, what are you fucking around with this for? And I was seeing as well that Jonte Porter, he had like a Discord server. Raptors would have given him a minimum contract, which is like $3 million. Yeah, and he's still young as well. Like, if you can work and have an NBA career, you're gonna make some pretty decent money. Like, not if you're a 8th, 9th, 10th man, maybe not, but like you're still going to do pretty good. Maybe he owed some mobster. But you know what my suspicion is? I don't know if any of this is true. Like, I really don't know. I have no idea if this is true. But he had this like Discord server. Okay? Let me look at this. I'll show you. Where is it? Okay, so look at this shit. Look at this. So Jonte has a Discord where he tells people what to trade and bet on. I have to pay $49.99 to see the premium room, but in the main room, they're discussing things like the NBA and Jonte. People are thanking Jonte for their winnings. And there's like screen grabs of this Discord server where he's like apparently giving like trading advice about like the stock market and crypto and stuff to these Discord members. But there's like a elite room. There's like an elite room. Can you, and again, these elite, separating people into elite tiers and stuff based on like it's just disgusting behavior. Anyway, well, so Dave, this is what I'm wondering. This is kind of my pet theory about this. Like I said, it's unlikely that he's making that much money from these prop bets. A couple grand, maybe a couple grand betting the under on like Jonte Porter 3-pointers in a game or whatever it is, whatever the whatever the prop bet is. It's for a couple grand. I kind of have a suspicion that he was like doing this for like clout, for like this Discord server to like impress these like finance nerds in his Discord server and being like, hey, take this bet tonight. And like and like then checking himself out of a game so these like nerds in his Discord server profit from it. This is my pet theory about this. I think it might have been just to impress nerds on the internet, not about like actually making money himself. Tay Trades 11. Who doesn't love nerd clout? That's why I post. Me too. Of course, Mr. Seven Standard. We all love getting clout from a bunch of online nerds. Okay, like that's not the issue. But however, I would probably rather make millions of dollars as a rotational NBA player than have the adulation of the online nerds. Like if you become a decent rotation NBA player, not only do you make millions of dollars, but then you have other people that are impressed with you and you get clout from other ways, you know? When you sacrifice your potentially multi-million-dollar NBA professional basketball career for the adulation of online nerds, then I think it's maybe not a great idea. If you consider that gambling makes you cool. It's actually funny because I really thought about getting into sports gambling because I was like, hey, I need like, I like money. I like making money. I can throw a bit of money around and bet on some sports sometimes without it being a big problem. And I literally just tried to find like the application, like, cause I was okay, DraftKings or whatever, but there's like specific rules about like where you can use these products. And Quebec has all kinds of different rules about that. So when I finally found like the app that you can use in Quebec and I tried to link it to my bank account and it just didn't work. I think I tried like 2 or 3 times to get it to work and it didn't work. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do this. Maybe this is a sign that I should not be doing this. I'm literally trying to link this gambling app to my bank account and it's not working for some technical reason. Perhaps this is some kind of sign that I should just not be fucking around with this at all. I do it through PayPal and not my bank account. I don't think I have that option. I went to high school with Michael Kendricks. He used to play for the Eagles and who got fucked for doing insider trading. God damn. You should not be fucking around with this at all. Well, I agree. I agree for the most part. Like I was saying, I think I could spend 10, 20 bucks on maybe a couple of parlays, maybe per week, without it becoming this big problem. I think I could successfully do that. You know, if I lose 20 bucks, okay, it's unfortunate. It's not the end of the world. When you start losing, you know, more and your life starts being impacted by it, then we're talking about a serious problem. I think I could afford to lose 10, 20 bucks. Here and there. But also, because I'm such a smart guy and a sports genius, maybe I could make even more than that. That's the thing. That's the genius. Maybe I wouldn't lose. I know the house always wins. Yeah. Technically, yeah, the house always wins. I get it. But what if this time it didn't? But what if this time I won and not the house? Did we think about that? Did we consider that? Gambling should be done in cash in a sketchy basement or motel room in a big city. Yeah. And someone should threaten to like bust your kneecaps. That should be part of it.
Porter doesn't start the second half. We'll get an update on Jonte Porter.
Jonte Porter went back to the locker room.
Jonte Porter is sidelined now. He will not be an active member of this Raptors team.
Don't be afraid to bet on yourself.
Had an issue with his eye.
Guys, just an update on Jonte.
All right, it's March 25th, 2024.
This
and
guy Raptors Moments
Woj
is like a very funny account if you want to follow Raptors stuff.
Biggest one of the year for this chaotic Raptors squad, featuring none other than Discord mod and undershirt enthusiast himself, Jonte Porter.
Jonte,
which,
we were all
if the
rooting for you.
investigation,
This is what I was talking about. This is it's disappointing. This was one of the only bright spots of this whole Raptors season, Jonte Porter. He had some severe injury problems in his early 20s, coming out of college. He almost retired from playing basketball, worked his ass off to get onto an NBA team, was getting some minutes this year because it's been this disastrous season. Actually did get some minutes to play and produce a little bit. And like that was his whole career is probably over because he bet against himself to impress some like Discord nerds. Is it Raptor like the bird or the dinosaurs? Because the latter is go like the dinosaurs. Because the team came out in like 1994, and that's when everyone was obsessed with Jurassic Park. So they named the team the Raptors because of Jurassic Park. So we had to sit out because of betting. Yeah. So Ebusel, Jonte Porter, there's a couple of like irregularities that got picked up because he was there's on a couple of nights. Like where there was a prop bet on like over under Jonte Porter 3-pointers, like 1.5 or 2.5 or something. And he checked into these games and then checked himself out because of like this eye injury. So he checked himself out so he could hit these unders. So if you bet the under on those prop bets, you would win. And now he's been like suspended and he's being investigated for like tampering and like for deliberately getting checked out for like betting financial reasons. Yes, it's pretty silly. And like I said, you're going to make, no matter what money you're making on these prop bets, you're going to make significantly more than that being a rotation level NBA player. Time theft, gambling, and impressing nerds. Oh, God.
bears fruit. Could have his 10D supply cut off by fellow gambling ambassador Adam Silver. And these events took place over 3 games this year. We first see the eye injury at 9:13 in the first quarter where he's getting eye drops on the bench. But strangely, if we go to the play right before this, I'm not seeing any discomfort, anything eye-related. He's not touching his eye. He's not appearing to be in any pain or anything, which is odd. It was reported it was a scratched eye. But nevertheless, Darko calls a timeout here, and we have the now infamous eye dropper scene. He would return to this game, but checks out for good with 4:20 left in the second quarter, where TSN runs a full-screen FanDuel ad, beautifully setting us up for the next game in this story. And this is where things really kind of take off. And you're going to see a pattern in these next 2 games here. Raptors, Clippers. Raptors are in their Bet Rivers kits, and the Jonte player props are set at 5.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 0.5 3-pointers. And he is being investigated currently for taking the under on all these. So he checks in at 4:24 in the first quarter. So Dennis has got the ball here. Scotty's taking control, kind of telling people where to go. Jonte swings it to him. There's no prop for screen assist, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't lead to anything. Here we got Dennis. He's going to dribble up to Porter. Probably not going to take a 3. No, going to swing it. Drift in here a little bit. Don't have to go for the rebound. Beautiful. Norman Powell takes a shot. You can get the okay. I'm gonna get the rebound. That's okay. Can't do that too many more times. Scotty's got the ball here. I'm gonna set another screen. Gonna roll over to the mid range. Perfect. Don't have to get the rebound there. Here's Kawhi Leonard. John Tammer's gonna box this guy out. Dennis, you get the rebound. Beautiful. Highly efficient. I mean, these were the most paid out prop bets according to DraftKings. You can see why this is done masterfully. Scotty Barnes, another screen assist, but it doesn't count. Norman Powell takes a shot.
The
John
most paid out prop bet. This is why they noticed, because these were the most paid out prop bets, and he's just this random. It's Jonte Porter. It's just this random player. This is what alerted like the people. And I guess this is the argument that like DraftKings are making as well. These gambling applications. So this is the argument that like DraftKings are making, is just like, this is why it's good actually that these applications are illegal, because that now we notice this. Now we've like noticed this stuff. It's all above board. We brought it to people's attention. So this is what their whole case is for like why it's actually good that these applications are legal and like that. And I get that argument, but like I was saying to Lauren the other day on the Insurgents podcast, which is a conversation that I think everyone should give a listen to because it's really good. Like I was saying to her though, you know, it's not like I get that argument that like decriminalizing these things is like good, whether it comes to like anything that where there's big black markets for it, gambling or drugs or sex work or these things, because it ultimately you get these things above board. You limit the like the ways that they're abused. You limit the ability of like bad people and like organized crime to like profit from these things. You protect the people that are involved in it. You know, it's like I get these arguments, but it seems like maybe there can be a step between decriminalizing sports gambling and like getting it out in the open, and with the like the crazy amount of like integration there is between these gambling applications and the actual leagues themselves. Like maybe there's some kind of in between that we could be at, because it feels like regardless of that argument, it does not feel healthy. The amount that sports gambling has become this central part of like sports culture. Like supporting all these like sports talk radio shows and like the constant gambling stuff, like on NBA League Pass. Now there's like the spread and like it's integrated with NBA League Pass, or it's going to be. Like maybe there's some kind of in between, you know, that there could be. Because it seems like the level of integration there is just overall not healthy and impossible to imagine it not filtering down to the players like it's already happening. And the refs. All the players are aware of like the spread and the over-unders and all this shit. It's impossible almost not to be influenced by it. Also, being able to just hook your credit or bank card up to a gambling app just seems like a guaranteed recipe for disaster in the long run. Yeah, you're watching sports. You've had 2 or 3 beers or more. Watching some random like baseball game. Oh, I can just like, you know, it's like the ease of that feels really dangerous. Like Lauren was saying, like she grew up in Arizona, and where it's gambling is legal, but if you want to do it, you go out to like one of these like reservations where there's a casino where you can do it, and that's what you have to do. They've started to run out of advertiser money, so this is a big alternative for sure. You understand like why this is happening, but it feels kind of like really unhealthy. Anyway, let's continue this. This is someone was mentioning OSINT. This is kind of like an OSINT. This Raptors Moments video is kind of like the OSINT, the NBA OSINT. Refs were already doing this before gambling was legal. Like Tim Donaghy took the fall for Scott Foster, among other refs. The idea that it was only exclusively Tim Donaghy that was involved with that, it really like strains the limits of credibility, I think. Right? Yeah, if it's going to be legalized, it should be heavily regulated at the very least. Yeah, that's like, it just seems like a total free for all right now.
Nope, Scotty, you can get that one. Perfect. Scotty's going to bring a ball up the court here. Jonte sets the screen. Scotty for the three. Again, no prop for screen assist. Dennis Schroeder with the ball here. He's going to swing it to Jonte. He's got to be careful. Dennis with the three. Oh, shit. Can't do that again. That's one assist. You can't hit two. You're going to hit the over. You got to be really careful now if you're Jonte. Here comes the ball. Okay, rebound. Now you got to be really careful because you're racking up the rebounds. Now, Dennis Schroeder, he's got the ball. RJ cutting. No, it's going to go over to the corner for the three ball. We get the rebound. Now just watch that go. Bet Rivers. They're gonna do overlay, which is kind of beautiful.
This is amazing.
Shooter facilitating. Here's Porter. He's gonna set the screen. He's gonna pop out for three. Yes, he is. He's gonna pass it up. Hopefully, okay. Can't get another assist there. That's good. Hockey assists don't count, so that's beautiful as well. Another W. Here's Porter at the top. Passes it to RJ. He's gonna set the screen. RJ is gonna go in and corner shot here. Yeah, don't even entertain getting that rebound. Just run back on defense. Here we got Tice. He's gonna swing the ball over and he just touched. Just tap it. That doesn't count. Okay, we're good. And now you're gonna check out of the game. So now we have Raptors Kings with the over-under set at 7.5 points and 5.5 rebounds, and he's going to check in 2:43 into the first quarter. So he starts off with the free throw line. He's giving some secret hand signals, it looks here, maybe giving some tips to people. Can't really read it, but here we got top of the floor here. Jonte is going to swing it over to Wara, who's going to find Porter. There's no assist prop, so that's okay. Swing it out there, but now he's going to get into some trouble here. Ooh, first rebound. Can't do that too many times. Kicks it back out to Ramsey, who's going to miss. And second rebound. Okay, you're really playing with fire here now. Out to Wara, who's going to shake, dance, shimmy a little bit. And pass it back to Jonte, who's going to, okay, just... Safe, all safe. Okay, now we got Sabonis here. Jonte's playing defense against him. Shot goes up. Just tip that rebound out there. And JFL, you can go flying as a sacrifice. Screen assist for Wara. There's no prop bet for that. Beautiful, contributing to this game and this team player. Now he's giving signals again. It looks like he's talking to the other bench now. I don't know how many people are in on this thing, but there have been, according to ESPN, a bunch of people betting on these things. So he's obviously, I don't know, there's some communique. And so he passes it into Ramsey. Ramsey dribbling the ball up. Porter again. He's that screen. No, he's not. Ramsey.
Like, this is the thing, though. All these props. Like, it's impossible. It's not just about Jonte Porter. It's impossible to know. Like all the players are aware of all this stuff now. This is what I mean. Like, it's almost impossible to imagine it not impacting other players.
Porter, he's going to clear out. You don't want to get that rebound. Beautiful. You don't have to get the rebound there. Jordan Wara, he's going to bring the ball up. Jonte trailing behind. And it goes through McDaniels' fingers. Beautiful. Bailed out by another guy who maybe could be looked at. But Malik Monk, he's going to hit the three there. Don't have to get the rebound. JFL. Last play here for Porter. You're just going to bleed the clock out here. And Jonte, he's got Raptor legend Alex Len on him. He sets the screen, rolls to the basket, doesn't get the pass. Jordan Wara is going to up fake. Just you have to get that rebound. No, you don't. Beautiful. Everything's going to plan. High five. We're in this thing. And corner three goes up. They don't have to get the rebound for that. And just like the last game at the end of the first quarter, checks out of the game for good. And while there is a pattern here of just playing one shift in the first quarter and then exiting the game for good at the end of the first quarter, this one was a little bit different because instead of the eye, which I guess is healed, there is now a sickness, which was the official reason. And Jonte has been into this type of thing for a long time. He talked about outperforming hedge fund managers with his trading. He has started a financial services education website where when you join, you get financial advice from him, despite him not being accredited to do so. Michael Porter Jr., and they're really selling this quote-unquote superstar brother, is also involved as a partner, and he's pictured here with a lifetime profit. I don't think a lawyer was consulted in any of this.
And for all you kids out there, as Fred says, and don't be afraid to bet on yourself.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. What a disastrous Raptors season this has been. This is what we're dealing with here. Is betting legal in Canada? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Yeah, like I was saying earlier. I sometimes think about getting into a little bit of it myself. I'm praying for those lottery balls. That's going to be stressful, Kijiji. If they don't get that pick, yeah, I think the plan that we talked about. I think makes sense, actually. If they give the Spurs their pick for this season. That sounds good to me. Okay, so what else are we doing here on here today, folks? I'm low energy. I gotta admit, I'm low energy today. I told you I was up intermittent analyzing Joe prop bet gam. I told you I was up kind of early. I don't feel super mentally sharp. In fact, I haven't even opened my energy drink. This is how fucked up this is today. My whole schedule, my whole routine, physically, mentally, I'm all messed up today. So I don't know what else we're doing. What do I got? About another hour and a half. I did finish Three Body Problem last night. Like, I don't know if anyone else finished that. I would recommend it. I don't think I love it. It is pretty well done. There's some interesting ideas in there that I haven't really seen in sci-fi as much before. Like I said, I think the Cultural Revolution stuff was really heavy-handed, even if it's like a part of the original story. And I think that was one thing that like occurred to me about why it's like so jarring, because like you understand if it's a story by a Chinese author that became popular in China, and this whole thing about the Cultural Revolution is a big central part of the story. I think what happens though is then when you adapt that for Western audiences, so you adapt that for Western audiences, and you have all these like Western characters that are like the protagonists of the thing, and you adapt it for Western audiences, but you still keep this like inciting incident about China and the Cultural Revolution. I think it takes on this kind of other feeling, you know? It's not like it's like, oh, it's our story, so we're kind of using this controversial part of our past that we have this kind of criticism of, and we're using that as an inciting incident. It feels weird, I think, when you adapt it for Western audiences, but then you keep that dynamic. I think that was one of the things that I have an issue with. I think maybe it might have made more sense if you're going to adapt it for Western audiences to have like a historical kind of analogy that you could use like from the West, like if there was something about like the Jim Crow South, or you know, something like that, or the civil rights movement that could incite that plot that was more of like a criticism of like American history. Like you keep the critique of the Cultural Revolution, whether the critique is valid or not. Like I said, it's a big part of the story and the novel. But you keep that critique, and then you take everything else and shift it towards Western audiences. I do feel like there's something kind of like weird that then gets translated there. Why do that when you can make effective anti-communist propaganda? Yeah, and like we were talking about, like there's in China, they acknowledge that in the Cultural Revolution that bad things happened and that like there's a criticism there. But it's a lot of like, now this is like a Western show for Western audiences with Western actors, but still has this big dynamic of like this big critique of Maoism, basically. That's a central part of it. I think it's kind of a little, it was a little weird and jarring for me, even though I did watch the show and I think there's value in it, and I think it's all right. But I think that was what I found a little weird for it. Presenting it to Western audiences that do not have the cultural historical context is an interesting choice. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like, it's hard not to watch that and your takeaway not just be like, revolution bad, Mao bad, There's no real nuance in that. I did enjoy it though. It's interesting. There's some interesting stuff in there. If they do a season 2, I'll probably watch that. I don't know. Sort of like portraying the bureaucracy and secrecy of the USSR during Chernobyl. Yeah, I think that was something. I had conflicting feelings about Chernobyl because I thought in a way it was like oddly respectful of the USSR. In a way, like not entirely, but like, I thought there was like elements of it that I thought were pretty good. Even if there was like embellishments and like that whole idea of like the secrecy of the USSR, like not taking this secrecy and like hiding the details from the public and like this kind of thing. I thought that was actually pretty amazing because like you take that critique of the USSR and like you somehow come away thinking that like our society is any better when you look at the ways that like what's the like Chernobyl versus like climate change and the way that was covered up in the West, in our open and free and democratic Western society where we have freedom of the press, and our political and private sector leaders would never lie to us about the impact of some kind of thing like that. Only in this kind of like authoritarian system of total control could you ever have this kind of like this ability to manipulate the truth like this. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like if you think that if that's your takeaway of Chernobyl, I think that's pretty preposterous. Considering there's like you can point to direct analogies about our own society and like even significantly higher cover-ups about things like that. I think I'll go through the books first, seeing how those Game of Thrones dorks, Benioff and Weiss are involved. Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to go about it. Yeah, or the COVID stuff is a perfect example of that. Oh yeah, we would never lie or like deny or obfuscate or like these serious public health issues or public safety issues. We would never do such a thing. Like, I think we would. I think we would do those things. Yeah, the government was famously very transparent regarding 3 Mile Island. Absolutely. Oh yeah, we love a good cover up. We would never dream. We would never dream of doing that kind of stuff. In the same way we talk about like China and historical revisionism and that kind of stuff. Oh, they don't tell people about these stuff that happened in the past. You're not even allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to talk about Tiananmen or whatever it is, or the Cultural Revolution, even though in these like popular stories and novels and TV shows that are made, they openly talk about it and criticize it. We would all, yeah, exactly. It's not like we would ever dream of covering up crucial parts of our history. Not that there's not a significant project right now to do just that. Not me, but some conspiracists could be saying that Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island was used by other industries in the energy sector to keep nuclear away. I mean, that could be part of it. It could also just be like an anti-Soviet thing. I think that's a kind of a fun conspiracy to baselessly believe the idea that Chernobyl was an act of sabotage, Western sabotage, considering the role it played in painting a certain picture, not only of nuclear energy in general, but like the Soviet Union for all the things that we were just talking about. I remember watching that and just being really like, just seeing even with all the horrible things that happens in it with the disaster, seeing like the town of Pripyat where the Chernobyl reactor was, and you see like that was like the idyllic like Soviet style town, and I thought it was so cool. You know, it's based around this one industry. Everyone in the town lives in like the same kind of like apartment buildings. You got like sports complexes and parks and schools that people can go to. The people work in the power plant during the day. It's like, and it's nice. You see all those big brutalist apartment buildings. It's like, damn, we got to go back. Why can't we have this? Nuclear now kind of makes a compelling argument that the paranoia around nuclear energy is manufactured by the oil and gas industry. Well, isn't Oliver Stone doing something about that? Doing something about nuclear? I mean, that's how you have like German green parties that are like denuclearizing is like a big part of their whole like what they're about, and like closing nuclear power and ending nuclear power. That is the movie by Stone. Okay, I didn't know it was out yet. I would like to watch it. It would be a great stream watch. Yeah, imagine living in a community. Can you imagine? It is hard to imagine. A community that's planned and that's based around this industry. No solar spills or wind meltdowns. And that's obviously true. I mean, definitely it's like investing in solar and wind is going to be safer. It just seems like if we want to, like transitioning into using that exclusively is going to take decades to do. We should have started doing it 40 years ago, but we're only kind of just doing it now. And in the meantime, in order to keep the lights on for people, unless people are willing to just like give up electricity and give up like having your home be heated in the winter and this kind of stuff, we need to we have to still continue to use fossil fuels, but like we can use nuclear as well, which is I think probably superior to using fossil fuels in the meantime while we engage in this kind of transition. China's doing it, but still need a lot of fossil fuels. I mean, I think this is the ultimate lesson I think I've had to kind of figure out about the whole climate movement. Like, yes, we need we need to stop using fossil fuels. Like, we needed to stop doing that years ago, decades ago, actually. But since we didn't, we still need to transition into better forms of like energy, totally different, efficient and carbon neutral energy systems. In the meantime, though, we do need to like have people like keep the lights on for people, and also we can't say in the first world to these developing nations, no, you can't have the good stuff that we had. You can't have lights in your home, and you can't have energy, and you can't use energy the same way we did. We used it all now. So now we have to stop. Like, we can't really do that. Yeah, we need a basket of energy sources. Yeah, you can't use AC, even though we've destroyed the climate so much that like the AC is more necessary than ever. Like, in fact, for a lot of these like nations that are going to be the most affected by climate change, like they're going to need to have AC. Like they need fucking air conditioning to not die. I would try organized climate change deniers for crimes against humanity. Well, I mean, this is what it comes down to with like I was talking about with like Chernobyl. There has been a cover up, right? There's been a vast cover up with the most powerful people in our society, in both the private sector and public sector. There's been a vast cover up. They spent billions and billions of dollars funding conservative media and muddying the waters around this like conversation. And it's completely paralyzed and handicapped our ability to deal with it. It's pretty much the greatest crime ever perpetrated because it's going to affect generations of people in the future, billions of people. It's affecting the entire planet that we all have to continue living on for generations. So yes, ideally I would like for there to be some kind of consequences for that. It's pretty much the greatest crime ever perpetrated in humanity. China's on track this year to start emissions decline 6 years earlier than their target. That's if true, that's incredible. It's an incredible statistic. We're just screwed. Well, that's certainly a possibility, dude. I think it's something I said. I think I tweeted that one day that like years ago now, where like I said, in my heart of hearts, like I kind of think that it's too late to really meaningfully impact climate change. Like I hope to be wrong about that. Believe me, I try not to be like doomer or black pill or whatever. But in my heart of hearts, I kind of think we're screwed. But it's not too late to get revenge, though. We can still do that.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Hello, Zotz. Thanks for the raid. Thank you, Zotz. How was the Zotz stream today? If humanity got its shit together, there could be some incredible expansive actions taken to help at least mitigate the damage. Yeah, absolutely, Sean. In fact, that's one of the things that I kind of think is interesting about Three Body Problem is that it's kind of like an analogy for that because you're dealing with this threat that's like happening in the future for future generations. It's all about like fighting this war to protect generations of people that you will never meet and you'll never know about because you'll be dead. And then humanity comes together to have all this crazy progress in order to deal with this problem. But that's when it's like an alien invasion, we can do that. But when it's like the climate of the planet being destroyed, we have less of an easy time doing it. I'm a game streamer now. Politics is for nerds who like to be sad all the time. Well, I am a nerd who likes to be sad all the time, Zotz. I am absolutely a nerd that likes to be sad all the time. If people would sub for gaming streams, I would be a gaming streamer. Believe me. If I felt I could get the sub targets, I would at least strongly consider it. These people in the chat though, this is what they want. Don't ask me to explain it. Don't ask me to explain it. They want this though. They don't want to have fun. Can you imagine the yahoos if the government tried to mobilize the population to fight climate change? Well, we're still arguing in Canada about a carbon tax. We can't even do that. That's the amazing thing to me. We can't even do that. And also it's one big mistake that our ruling class is making, and they've tried to do this in France, but anytime you try to like outsource the cost of this transition to like regular people, working class people, and raise their taxes and like lower their standard of living, people are going to fucking riot. And this is amazing because we can only, in this system, this is the only way we can talk about these kind of problems, these market-based solutions, right? That's all we can do. We can like change the tax code slightly. The idea of like there's some kind of mass mobilization or some kind of like mass public investment is just off the table. We can't even imagine. Trans Mountain Pipeline is about to fire up, which will triple our ability to get oil to markets. Yeah, and it's not like that's going to impact people's energy prices here. Like I've talked about a number of times as well. You could, if you made this case to people, this is why we need these pipelines, because we're going to be energy independent. That's the whole like domestic drilling argument, right? We're going to be energy independent. Doesn't that sound great? But it's like we're still not energy independent. Average people. Nothing is changing about our gas prices. Nothing is changing about our electricity, our heating prices. This energy independence is just about oil conglomerates getting that oil out of the ground, getting it to other markets outside this country, and then these big companies earning huge profits from it. It's not like the people that live in these places where the resources are being extracted from are actually benefiting in any way. Or if they are, it's a small little crumb off the table. It's a small crumb off the table. And the actual profits are going to the conglomerates that are extracting the energy. Unfortunately, a lot of people won't see the issue unless it's staring them in the face, i.e. the Chicago River on fire in the 60s, 70s, or a meteor flying right at us. But even that is not true, because people have been so conditioned to have this, like, because they have this partisan reaction to anything about climate now. So it is in their face. It's already happening. Like, we're already, like, if you're, like, we know that the climate is changing. Like, we know that just from, like, getting older, you know? We see the vast forest fires. We see the increased like destabilizing like storms and hurricanes and all this stuff happening more and more frequently. It actually legitimately literally is right in our faces. And there's still people who be like, God damn, big government, get out of my carbon tax. We need to cut regulations and cut taxes on these oil companies. You know what I mean? It's like people can't. It is in their faces, and they can't. There's going to be people, there's going to be boiling seawater destroying their homes, and they're going to be like mad at liberals for like doing climate, for like the Green New Deal. I can't believe they're trying to do that Green New Deal. There's going to be like FEMA boats coming to evacuate people from like their homes, so there's being submerged by boiling seawater, and they're going to be like, I don't want this government handout. DEI. It's DEI is sinking my home. It's literally going to be like that. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't actually agree. I don't actually agree that when the effects are more real and the effects are more obvious to people, that there's going to be some big shift. They won't. Like you saw with COVID. COVID is a perfect example. You had people's family members dying. You had people's family members dying in the hospital, and these people are out there trying to like take them out of the hospital and trying to be like, don't give them the vaccine. Dude, these goddamn doctors and nurses are the ones doing this. Like, you know? Denying COVID existing while actively dying for it, for sure. Dying from it. My conspiracy theory cousin is worried Trudeau is going to make gas vehicles illegal in the near future. And even if they've said like, oh, by like this is our like meager targets, which won't impact climate change in any way. I think there's been things like after 2035, not that they're illegal, but they won't sell new gas-powered vehicles after like 2035, and that won't even happen because we're gonna vote in a wave of conservative psychos, and they're all gonna reverse all those resolutions and all those like guidelines and guardrails that are being put into place. But also, they won't let in cheap Chinese EVs. That's right. Yeah, we got to protect Elon Musk's profits. We got to make sure we protect Elon Musk. We can't get a $10,000 BYD electric vehicle. And the same people complain about gas prices, right? If you're that upset about gas prices, maybe you can get an electric vehicle. They're like, fuck you, I'll kill you. Wonderful. Wunderbar. Hey folks, so I'm 90 minutes into this stream here. Did you know that the only way that I'm able to keep doing this show until the planet is destroyed in a climate apocalypse, the only way that I can keep doing this show, folks, is if this little number...
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
This little number must go up every single day that I do this program, and I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. I don't believe. I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow because it's Easter and my son is not in school. I might try to do something, but I don't know how possible that's going to be. But Dick Penderin, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. So not going to be streaming tomorrow. It would be absolutely fantastic to reach the old
You
sub
can count
goal
on me. You're going to have good old Rob
today,
to talk you through all this.
if possible. Max, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. I really appreciate that, Max, as well. Very kind of you. So if you want to support this program, folks, if you want to support the work that I do over here on twitch.tv each and every day, please do subscribe if you can. Sean, thank you for the gifted sub. Very, very generous of you, Sean. I appreciate that. And thank you, Anon, as well. Thank you, Anon, for the gifted sub. Very cool. And now only 26 subs to go to get to the goal. And a possible hype train on the way as well. Judas, hey Jesus, you still okay for Friday? What's happening Friday? The Last Supper. The what? Just supper. Just normal supper. Normal supper with the lads. It's funny. I actually saw a really funny TikTok that was like not that premise, but like it was Judas finding out. Let me see if I can find this guy. Yeah, okay, good. I found it.
Did you hear the news then? How Jesus has been crucified by the old Romans, isn't he?
What?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ?
Yeah, mate.
What the flipping crap? What the hell?
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it?
This is the bloody first I'm hearing of this. I'll tell you for that right now. What the heck?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Apparently, don't tell anyone, but it might be an inside job by one of his mates.
No, it probably won't. Probably John.
No.
What the heck? Flipping John. Probably classic John, that. Yeah. No, it probably is him. But we should go easy on him, just in case it is.
Nah, I'll probably kill him, to be honest.
Well, could do.
Did you hear the news then? How Jesus has been crucified by the old Romans, isn't he?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
That's good. I like that one. I like that guy. Don Dark Sony, thanks for another gifted sub. Thank you, Don Dark Sony. I really appreciate all the support from our friend and mysterious benefactor, Don Dark Sony. Thank you for that. And we kicked off a hype train here. 25 subs to go, folks. A measly 25 subs to go. I'm sure we can do it. So please do subscribe if you can. Please subscribe if you can. 25 subs to go. Help me get to the sub goal today. I'm going to have to take tomorrow off because I'm going to be obviously in church all day. I don't know if I know that one, Lioness. The subs just went up $1 Canadian. Wow, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it, sir. Do you have chocolate eggs for Easter over there?
You can count on
I did
me.
pick
You're
up a
gonna
bunch
have
of
good old
chocolate
Rob
eggs
to
today.
talk you through all this.
I'm going to do a little Easter egg hunt in my apartment for my son.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Don Dark Zoni, thank you for another gifted sub. Very kind of you. And thanks Riskinverse as well for 2 gifted subs. What kind of chocolate egg? I think I got a bag of like Kit Kat kinds. I got a couple of like larger little bunny things. I got a couple things.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Brought you frankincense. Thank you. And I brought you myrrh. Thank you. Murder. Judas.
Vine was so cool. There was something so magical about Vine. We really lost something when we lost Vine. The 7 seconds was really a perfect amount of time for some weird and wild and bizarre kind of stuff. And Diego, thank you for another gifted sub as well. And now only 21 subs to go, folks. Level 3 of this hype train. Who else wants to support TRRS? Please support this program if you can. Every little bit helps. Every little gifted sub helps. If you can, please subscribe. I would appreciate it a lot. You know what I've been like? I've been sleeping to these lately. I put these on at night. It's very relaxing. There's like these like, you just have some white noise. You're in some kind of like starship situation. And my TV in my room has this like pleasing purple glow. I like to throw these on at night. Is that loud? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was that loud. Sorry. It's down. Anyways, I was just showing you that that's what I'm into. I put those on at night sometimes. It's over now. I'm sorry for the very loud starship noises. It's so relaxing. Oh, you like that too, Lodane? Yeah. My GF can only sleep with white, brown, or red noise. Yeah, it's like if I'm not, I can't anymore. Like maybe this is like just my brain being bad or what it is, but I don't know. But I can't just like lie down in silence and just like sleep now. I really can't do that. I'm falling asleep watching a TV show, or I've got like some kind of a sound or some kind of something happening. Uh, 90 seconds left in this hype train, folks. Can we get to level 3? 21 subs to go. 21 little measly old subs to go. Should be no problem. Should be no problem to get there. If anyone else can please subscribe to this program. Dick Pendarren, thank you very much. Thank you for the gifted sub, Dick Pendarren. Very much appreciated. 20 subs to go now.
You've just become an elite member
goodness.
of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh my goodness, Don Dark Zoni. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs, Don Dark Zoni. Heck yeah.
You can count on me. You're going to have good
We're doing
old
it.
Rob
We're doing this
to
thing.
talk you through all this.
I will. I'm thinking about trying to do something tomorrow, but like I don't really know how that's going to work. We're going to have to see how it goes. And Risk Inverse, thanks for another gifted sub as well. Starships aren't under constant acceleration with effectively no resistance. They can coast indefinitely, I guess. But you have a thrum of like all the systems being on. You got air filtration systems and whatever else. It's not necessarily the engines, but like right, you got there's all kinds of stuff going on to keep you alive when you're out there. How old is the kiddo? He's 8. He's 8 years old. Yeah. Artificial gravity and life support require power. There you go. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, and now only a measly 14 subs to go.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And Kijiji, thanks for gifting a sub to our friend Clueless on VHS. Doesn't really show up here anymore, but whatever. I barely even noticed. Barely even notice. It doesn't affect me at all. Why would it? Why would it affect me? I don't care. It's fine. I'm totally fine with that. And now a measly 13 subs to go, folks.
You can count
Do
on
we hear
me.
level
You're gonna have
4?
good old Rob to talk you through all
Jeez,
this.
Don Dark Sony, thank you very much for another gifted sub. My goodness. Only 12 to go, halfway through level 4 of this hype trade, folks. Please subscribe if you can. As I've said many times, it's the only way. It's the only way that this show exists. It is the only way that this show continues to exist is through the incredible generosity of the TRRS community members. 12 subs to go. Only a few brave heroes could drag me and my tired ass across the finish line for today. Yep. Yep. Only a measly 12 subs to go. That's right. You heard me. You heard me right, folks. It's everyone's favorite segment. Everyone loves the segment when I do this. I think it's fantastic. We got 42 seconds left. I'm just looking at some stuff we can maybe take a look at, some video content we can take a look at. After this, I have about another hour. Have you tried pitching like T-Vangelist? I don't know what that would look like. I've tried a couple different approaches. Sometimes you need to be higher energy, I think, sometimes. Sometimes I put on the NHL 95 theme music and really start going into like, it's almost like a like the auction people, like one of the auction guys. But I'm very low energy today. I don't have the energy to do it. Go full baby Billy. I think for a while I was doing a impoverished Victorian child kind of chimney sweep character. That was fun. More like baby Billy's Bible Bonkers. Kijiji, thank you very much for the 2 gifted subs as well. We got to play Helldivers again soon. I've been neglecting my Helldiver duties, actually, because I've been just too fucking tired the last couple nights to play. I just got a pop up on Twitch about how the cost of subs is going up. Great. Wonderful. I love that. I love that. Of course, the creators are seeing a piece of that, I'm sure. I'm sure the creators are getting an increased income from the cost of the subs going up. Oh wait, I'm checking my financial advisor right now. They're saying no, actually. They're saying that I will not be seeing a dime of an increase, and in fact, I will most likely see a decrease. Wonderful. That's fantastic. You aren't out there hell diving for freedom. No, the last couple of days I just haven't played. Sunday I was too tired and hungover, and I've just been too tired like every single night since then. Like I was saying last night, I was falling asleep at like 9:30. It was ridiculous. Just inflation, exactly. Strikes again. %. You need to be in Partner Plus to receive 50%, and Partner Platinum to receive 75%. I know there was a new program they were doing it. So if you get over a certain amount of sub points for 3 months straight, you do get better splits. But I'm almost there, but I've never actually hit the benchmarks that you need to get there. I don't even know how to check right now. Whatever. Who cares? Who's even counting? Who's even counting? Who cares, right? It's not like that would drastically change my life if I got those better splits. Who needs it? Yeah, if you get in the Partner Plus program, you receive a 70-30 revenue share. That would be nice. I'll tell you that much. Oh, well, we'll get there. We'll get there. Need to feed Bezos' nightly iguana cravings. Yeah, just build another bathroom. Why don't you build yet another bathroom in your castle? This man is a weird, sick fetish with like denying people's ability to use the bathroom, and then like he just pees all over the place. He probably goes and pees in a different bathroom in his mansion every night while laughing at all the Amazon workers and delivery drivers and people that are wearing diapers and stuff. He's a sick person. Iguanas are legal to hunt in Florida. They're super invasive. I would love to have an invasive lizard species here. We don't have the climate for it. I would love if we had in Quebec some invasive lizards. If a lizard just showed up on my balcony or whatever, I think that would be fantastic. I would love to have a little iguana friend. We'll get some terrifying animals soon enough as we turn into a tropical paradise. Yeah, and the Arctic permafrost melts and gets some of that ancient bacteria out there. It's going to mutate people and things. All kinds of interesting stuff's going to happen. Please see them look at the combat Crocs. That's right. Bringing it around full circle. I just worry about prions. So Mistress of Insanity, let's just pretend that I don't know what that means. And obviously we both know that I'm aware of what that is. Everyone knows that I'm familiar with these concepts. Let's say, just for the fact that there's listeners and viewers that aren't familiar with that. Not me, obviously. What is that, though? Mad cow disease. Sean says it's fine, and they don't eat things like your eyes and stuff. Oh, good. Then we've got nothing to worry about then. They're a misfolded protein that causes chronic wasting disease in game meat and kills humans over like 20 years. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, and I knew that, obviously. Obviously, I knew that. I just got the pop-up as well. Starting March 28th, new and existing subs will renew at $7.99 in Canada. For fuck's sake. Prions are proteins that can get into your brain and cause damage. Great. I don't mind. Whatever. Maybe all the microplastics in our body will block them. Did we think about that? Maybe that's what's good. Like, we've got so much microplastics floating around, it's going to block the prions from getting into our brains. Maybe they like cancel each other out. Did we think about that? Maybe it's all going to get canceled out. Like weed blocking the evil chemical in Cabin in the Woods. That's right. Yeah. You could already have them. There's no way to know. I could have them. Wow. I think it's going to be fine. I think we're all going to be fine. I wouldn't worry about it. I'll still keep eating that garbage. That's right. I just renewed for 6 months, so joke's on them. Thank you, Dakadoon. Okay, I'm just looking for some video. I got another 45 minutes about to hang out. So I'm just looking for some other some video content that we can take a look at. I may make a sandwich as well. I'm pretty hungry, actually. He has a piss room where he just pisses on the wall and makes his personal Amazon worker clean it up. the Canada Subbike is to cover that guy's salary and benefits. You don't want Jeff's piss room cleaner to have benefits. I think the funny thing about that, Dr. Magger, is that there's no way in hell that Jeff Bezos's piss cleaner does have benefits. Like, even with the increased cost of subs. %0 chance that is going to Bezos's piss cleaner. The shareholders are just like you. They just need the number to go up. That's right. And that's why I'm happy every day of my life working to ensure the shareholders are able to earn their profits. That's our whole existence. Our whole existence.
This is democracy.
Is based on this. And I, for one, think that that's fucking cool. Here's an interview with Amy Goodman talking with Craig Mokeber about the way that like Israel is violating the ceasefire resolution, how they need to be held accountable for that. I saw as well the ICJ is once again trying to compel Israel to act in this way. And this is kind of the interesting thing about this moment, right? The way that like the US tried to do this. Oh, it's non-binding. Oh, we allowed the Security Council resolution to pass, but it's non-binding. And we're seeing the limits of, ICJ orders Israel to unblock Gaza food aid. Like I just saw that this morning, but none of these institutions have the ability really to meaningfully compel Israel to do this, especially as long as they've got America backing them. So that's the amazing thing is like, are there going to be consequences now that the ICJ is specifically saying they need to end certain behaviors? The UN is specifically saying you got to stop this, and they're not stopping. So like we're getting to kind of this like inflection point here where we're seeing how legitimate these international institutions actually are. You know, there's a value in like putting out these rulings and statements and resolutions, but it's like we're coming up to the limit of like what is possible with these international institutions. And I think it's kind of a fascinating story to keep following. Do we actually have the ability to rein in Israel as long as the US is backing them? I'll be right back in a sec.
Now, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Israel is continuing to attack Gaza despite a vote Monday by the United Nations Security Council calling for an immediate ceasefire during the remaining 2 weeks of Ramadan and calling for the release of hostages in Gaza. 14 of the 15 nations on the UN Security Council voted in support of the resolution, which was drafted by the non-permanent members of the Council. The United States abstained, ignoring a request by Israel to veto the ceasefire resolution. The U.S. had previously vetoed 3 other ceasefire resolutions. Israel denounced the UN vote, as well as the U.S. decision to abstain. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, responded by canceling a visit to Washington, D.C. by a high-level delegation this week to discuss Israel's plans to attack Rafah. At the United Nations, Palestinian Ambassador Riyad Mansour praised the ceasefire resolution.
This must be a turning point. This must lead to saving lives on the ground. This must signal the end of this assault of atrocities against our people. A nation is being murdered. A nation is being dispossessed. A nation is being displaced for decades now, but never at this scale since the Nakba.
Israel's vowed to ignore the resolution. In a post on social media, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz said, quote, "The state of Israel will not cease firing. We will destroy Hamas and continue fighting until the very last hostage has come home," he said. Meanwhile, the U.S. is at odds with the UN over whether the resolution is binding or not. Deputy UN spokesperson Farhan Haq said UN Security Council resolutions are, quote, "as binding as international law." But on Monday, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, described the resolution as non-binding.
We appreciated the willingness of members of this council to take some of our edits and improve on this resolution. Still, certain key edits were ignored, including our request to add a condemnation of Hamas. And we did not agree with everything in the resolution. For that reason, we were unfortunately not able to vote yes. However, as I've said before, we fully support some of the critical objectives in this non-binding resolution, and we believe it was important for the Council to speak out and make clear that our any ceasefire must come with the release of all hostages. Indeed, as I've said before, the only path to a durable end to this conflict is the release of all hostages.
For more, we're joined by Craig McIver, international human rights lawyer who formerly served as the director of the New York office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, where he worked for more than 3 decades as a human rights official. He resigned in October over the UN's failure to adequately address large-scale atrocities in Palestine and in protest of Israel's assault on Gaza. Craig McIver, welcome back to Democracy Now! Can you explain the significance of this UN Security Council resolution, the U.S. abstaining, and whether or not this is binding?
Well, thank you, Amy and Juan. Nice to be with you again. It is significant. You've picked the right adjective there, because this was a draft that was put forward by the non-permanent members, the elected members of the Security Council, the so-called E10. And these 10 members include representatives from around the world, including some key allies of the United States, which created, I think, a degree of political pressure that added to hopes that the resolution would not be vetoed in this case. I have to say that it follows just a few days after the Council rejected a rather cynical draft that was submitted by the United States, the text of which I have said is a kind of an anti-ceasefire resolution. It didn't order a ceasefire, but effectively set out Israel's conditions for ceasing its violations of international law. And that was a real problem, because a lot of U.S. media outlets were reporting on that resolution as a ceasefire resolution when it was anything but. But yesterday's resolution was an actual ceasefire resolution, a rather weak one, which I will comment on, but it is a ceasefire resolution. It calls for a brief ceasefire, for access for humanitarian aid at scale, for lawful treatment of prisoners, including Palestinian prisoners, and for release of hostages. And it's important because, we're in the midst of a genocide, and you have this nearly moribund Security Council that has failed for 6 months, that is finally succeeding at least in demanding a temporary ceasefire. Any pause will save lives, and any aid that gets in as a result during an imposed starvation will make a difference, no doubt about it. It's also important because it's a signal, again, of the very broad consensus across the global community against Israel's onslaught on Gaza, and it will be another legal tool that can help in holding perpetrators accountable after the provisional order of the World Court on Israel's genocide. But, unfortunately, while it contains some hopeful, aspirational language that may lead to a lasting ceasefire, it only demands a ceasefire during the month of Ramadan, which will end in just over 2 weeks. So it is a very short pause during this genocide. And then we know that one of the US's conditions for not vetoing the resolution was the deletion of the word permanent, which, of course, changes the substance of the resolution very significantly. So despite all of this talk about tensions in US-Israeli relations and this rare instance of the US not vetoing a resolution on Israel's behalf, the U.S. is clearly continuing to run interference on behalf of Israel at the UN. And as you say, this is made all the more clear by the statements of the U.S. immediately after the adoption of the resolution, in which the U.S. has claimed, entirely falsely, by the way, that the ceasefire demand is conditional on the release of hostages, and secondly, that the resolution itself is non-binding. Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, made these claims in the session of the Security Council after the adoption of the resolution. Both of these claims are completely false and have no legal grounding. The UN Charter in its Article 25, subsequent decisions of the International Court of Justice have made this undisputable. Security Council resolutions are binding on all member states. And this is black letter law in the Charter that says that all members of the United Nations are bound to accept and carry out the decisions of the Security Council, as I say, subsequently affirmed by the International Court of Justice. And the claim that the ceasefire is to be conditioned on other factors like the release of hostages, this is completely false as well. This was a key central focus of the negotiations, was to make sure that these things were not conditioned one on the other, but they are separate demands of the Security Council. The United States knows this, but it is cynically distorting the record in order to, on the one hand, be able to claim that it has gone along or not blocked an international move toward a ceasefire because of pressure from domestic and international constituencies, and on the other hand, making sure that nothing really changes on the ground. It shows how committed the U.S. has been to undercutting the resolution even before the ink was dry. So if you look at the process, the U.S. used its power to water down the text during negotiations. It still did not vote in favor, only abstaining, and then immediately and falsely declared that it's non-binding and conditional. And in the end, I have to say, we also know that Israel is unlikely to respect any of the terms of this resolution. They've already declared that they will not do so. And they have continued all of their military offensives and genocidal assaults on the Gaza Strip since the adoption of the resolution.
I feel like they increased it. I think they actually increased it. Like, there's almost this brazenness to it, where it's like, whenever these rulings come down, they almost like increase the depravity just to indicate to everyone that it doesn't affect, that these rulings do not affect them or impact them in any way. Like, does it not seem like that to you? Like, it really does seem like there's a deliberate response. It's so provocative. Like, they're really like daring the entire world to like step in and stop them. And so far, no one is stepping up to do it. This is what I mean. Like, if none of these international institutions, the UN, the ICJ, actually have the ability to step in and stop this, at what point do other options start being examined or discussed? Like, I think that's we're in my view, we already passed that point a while ago, but it seems like we're really coming to this point where we have to start really seriously considering what it is going to take to get them to stop. We all know that if it was any other country doing this, that there would have been other options discussed long ago. It's been 6 months of this. It's been 6 months of this. Eventually, someone is going to have to start talking about other alternatives than just resolutions and proclamations coming from these international institutions, which are just being exposed as having no actual power to implement the things that they're proclaiming. Like, at some point, we're going to have to start discussing this. Obviously, these UN resolutions and whatever resolutions passing in the Canadian Parliament, the ICJ, I think it's important that these institutions exist. I think there's been a value in like the ICJ and having this court case and having South Africa like make this claim and like having these arguments being made. I think there's value in that. There's value for these resolutions being passed. But like, there doesn't seem to, while there might be a value to it, there doesn't seem to be an actual ability to meaningfully stop them from continuing to do this. And like, what we're getting to this point, like, people are like, there's the food insecurity, like there's a mass famine on the horizon if something isn't done. at some point we're going to have to start talking about what that looks like. Because if they're not going to be compelled by rulings and resolutions being passed by the UN or by the ICJ or whatever, we're going to have to start talking about other alternatives. And what's that going to look like? Well, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like.
We also know that the United States is very unlikely to use any leverage to compel Israel to comply with the resolution, and their language now on trying to claim that it's non-binding is evidence that that is their intent. So the killing continues, forced starvation continues, genocide continues unabated. And I think that may be the most. Yeah,
Craig Mokai, but what would be the potential actions of the United Nations to a member state that does not adhere to a binding resolution of this type? And also, what is your response to Prime Minister Netanyahu's canceling of the Israeli delegation to the U.S. over this vote?
Well, I think Israel's intentions have been made clear. If you listen to the statements of the prime minister and other cabinet ministers and military leaders, they have been clear from the beginning that they will not relent in their assault on the Gaza Strip until they've effectively accomplished the destruction of the entire strip. And their attacks now on Rafah in particular show that, the last refuge, the last piece of the Gaza Strip that hasn't been effectively destroyed is not only in their sights, but already under their bombs. So Israel never has had any intention. In fact, Israel has.
And Rafah is basically the red line for the U.S. that are saying, no, you can't do an operation there. And then this resolution passes and they immediately bomb Rafah.
The world record for violating Security Council, General Assembly, Human Rights Council resolutions in the United Nations. And that is unchanged. But this resolution can make a difference. On the one hand, there is an opportunity, if Israel is in breach of the resolution, to bring a resolution for enforcement under Chapter 7. Now, of course, as we've said, the United States is likely to veto that resolution to prevent any enforcement, just as they will continue to block any enforcement of the decisions of the International Court.
Well, I think kicked out of the UN is like the minimum. That's supposed to be, that's like what the rules of the UN are. When these resolutions pass from the Security Council and you just ignore them, that's like one of the main consequences. I was watching Novara recently. They did a piece on Hamas capabilities in North Gaza. Apparently, they've launched something like 70 attacks around al-Shifa on Israeli forces in 15 days. So their objectives are a complete failure. I mean, just this whole idea that, like, once we defeat Hamas, then it's going to stop. But they've made no progress in that in 6 months. And over 30,000 people have died. And we know it's going to be more than that. So that's the thing. It's like you've killed this number of people, this number of children. We saw the number of like the most pediatric amputees in like modern history. And they've not come anywhere close to their actual stated objective, which, as we all know, is always bullshit. But we still have this thing of like, they just have to defeat Hamas and then it's going to stop. But it's like they're obviously not doing that. Obviously, that's not their objective. And if it really is their objective, and they're just so bad at waging a war that they've completely failed at their main objective, and they've killed tens of thousands of little kids. Well, that's no better. Even if it was by accident, obviously you're fucking incapable and incompetent of doing this.
Justice regarding genocide in Palestine. In this case, because the U.S. has not vetoed it, they have in effect blocked action in the General Assembly under the Uniting for Peace resolution, where you could have seen some real meaningful action. You could have seen a resolution with teeth, with substance, resolution that included diplomatic, military, political, economic sanctions, not the enforcement of those sanctions, but the call for those sanctions. the deployment of a protection force, the establishment of a tribunal, the establishment of permanent mechanisms, as was the case within the United Nations during apartheid in South Africa. So there are actions that could be taken here, but the non-veto has slowed action in the General Assembly, while at the same time allowing the United States to claim that, yes, the resolution passed, but somehow it's not binding. In the end, this all comes down to the first, to the political will of member states across the organization, which already, after the provisional measures of the International Court of Justice, are obliged to be taking action to rein in Israel's assault on Gaza. Few have done so, but I think there is pressure building. And then secondly, the obligation on all of us in civil society to make sure that we keep up the pressure, again, as was the case in South Africa, on our own countries, to make sure that there are appropriate sanctions imposed on Israel to force it to comply and to end its genocide.
I wanted to turn to Kamal Qasim. He's a displaced Palestinian in Gaza responding to the UN Security Council vote in New York.
We hope that the decision is implemented and that it is taken seriously, because we know that Israel is stubborn and doesn't pay attention to the Security Council or any Western countries or Arab countries. And you can see what the situation is like, and the life that we are living is very, very difficult, with big massacres and genocides. Not just one genocide, and the situation is very, very hard, and we hope a ceasefire comes quickly and that the decision is implemented.
So, Craig McIver, I'm wondering if you can respond to that. And also, we're getting all sorts of reports on whether the Qatar talks are continuing those negotiations. Majid al-Ansari, a spokesperson for Qatar's foreign ministry, tells reporters negotiations on a truce are still ongoing. He rejected Israeli claims that the UN Security Council resolution calling for a ceasefire had an immediate impact on the talks. The Times of Israel said Israel has cut off Gaza truce talks in Qatar as a result. Your response and where you see this all headed at this point. I mean, even as we talk about whether Israel is going to launch a full-scale invasion, I think in the last 24 hours since the UN Security Council resolution was passed, something like 80 to 100 Palestinians were killed, most of them in Rafah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the challenge of enforcement. It's clear that as long as Israel's principal sponsor, I'd say it's co-belligerent, the United States of America, is not committed to reining in Israel's assaults, those assaults are going to continue, regardless of what the International Court of Justice or the Security Council or other legal mechanisms at the international level rule. They are blocked by the power of the United States in actually giving force to the decisions that they take. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing on the ground. This is an opportunity, right? It provides a diplomatic tool and a legal tool to press for at least this 2-week plus pause on the ground. But the clock is already ticking. Nothing has changed so far. Israel has been explicit in its rejection of the resolution, and the United States has been explicit in its position that the resolution is non-binding, and therefore, if it's non-binding, it doesn't make any sense for them to take action to try to enforce it. The key element of the U.S.'s engagement on this was to try to keep the Security Council and the United Nations generally at arm's length, so that all the center of gravity would remain with them and their so-called diplomatic efforts in the Middle East, together with the Egyptians and the Qataris. Those talks have not borne fruit. Israel has repeatedly boycotted portions of those talks. An opportunity for a 2-week pause that this resolution provides is disappearing with each passing day. And so are the opportunities to try to turn that 2-week pause, as is suggested in the resolution, into something that is more lasting. The U.S. refused to allow the word permanent, but something more lasting. So the pressure is going to have to come from elsewhere. It's not going to come from these key pressure points. It's going to have to come from civil society. It's going to have to come from private actors. And again, as I said before, it's going to have to come from all of us.
And Craig McIver, I wanted to ask you, there's been for years now efforts to restructure the United Nations, especially the Security Council, precisely because of the overwhelming power that the old European major powers exercise over the Security Council. Do you think that this war and the inability of the UN to act to end it will now further fuel the move to reform the UN?
Well, one can hope, Juan, I have to say. I mean, I think what this genocide has done is it has revealed the weaknesses, the political compromises, the moral failings of the United Nations and other international institutions. It has shown itself to be wholly inadequate, wholly unable to respond to a genocide being committed with Western sponsorship, with the sponsorship of powerful Western states. If this were happening in a developing country, in Africa or Asia, you would see a very different response. But when the perpetrators, the co-perpetrators, are the United States, the United Kingdom, European powers, the United Nations has shown itself unable to act. You see that even in the language of the Security Council resolution. We're talking about a situation of massive war crimes, crimes against humanity, ethnic cleansing, and genocide. Because the Security Council is not set up to deal effectively with that, especially when one of its permanent members, or two of its permanent members at least, are implicated in that genocide, it's forced to dust off language about conflict as if this were a war between two states, rather than a campaign of annihilation by a heavily armed occupying power against a besieged civilian population.
Very important distinction.
And that is not going to get the job done. You get a resolution that calls for a ceasefire. Even ceasefire language is not appropriate to a genocide, as the World Court itself has determined. And you get no language in here that condemns the perpetrators, that moves for accountability of perpetrators, that deals with the deployment of protection of the exposed civilian population, none of the things that would actually make a difference. And it's not just the Security Council. The political offices of the United Nations that have been set up to deal with issues like genocide, like sexual violence, like children in armed conflict, they have all failed miserably because they are politically compromised, politically controlled, unlike the independent human rights mechanisms that have done a terrific job, and the humanitarian aid workers that have done a terrific job in the UN system. These political offices and intergovernmental bodies have shown themselves to be wholly ineffective. So it certainly has increased the demand for reform. Whether there will be a willingness amongst the member states, and in particular amongst the P5, the most powerful member states of the United Nations, who sit with special rights on the Security Council in a mechanism that belongs in a Cold War museum, their lack of political will for change is what obstructs this. I still believe that demand from the ground can make a change. We saw it happen with apartheid in South Africa. We can see it happen as well if we work for it, for reforms in the UN, which I think have to happen. We need the United Nations. And on the other hand, for action against Israel's genocide.
Craig McIver, we just have 30 seconds, but the question of U.S. stopping military sales to Israel, an issue that certainly Senator Bernie Sanders,
What a concept.
Senator Merkley and others have called for. Do you think that would make a difference?
Well, it would make a tremendous difference, as I've said before.
I think it might, yeah.
The United States is not just tolerating this genocide. It is, in legal terms, complicit in the genocide because of its provision of military support, of weapons, of economic support, of diplomatic cover, of intelligence support, and of the, as I've said, the use of its official podiums to disseminate propaganda for a genocide on behalf of the Israelis. Any piece of that puzzle that is removed, and especially discontinuing the provision of military aid during the commission of war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide, will make a very significant change, and in fact, a much more significant change than any international resolution could hope to make.
Craig McIver, international
Nice
human
timing.
rights lawyer, formerly served as the director of the New York office of the United Nations High Commissioner.
Yeah, that was an informative interview. Like I was saying, it feels like we're coming up to some breaking point. If these resolutions and these rulings can't be meaningfully enforced, we're getting to this point where we're going to have to start talking about what needs to be done to stop this from happening. because just having it continue indefinitely is not an option. Oh, Jay, you just spoiled this next segment. I was just about to talk about this before Jay very rudely spoiled it. This is huge breaking news right now, folks. Huge breaking news. Explosive 60-minute story. For the first time, sources tell 60 Minutes they have evidence that a U.S. adversary may be involved in attacks on American government officials and a condition known as Havana Syndrome. Scott Pelley reports Sunday. Sunday, folks. On Monday, I'm going to have to log on and we're going to have to go over this because this is huge. This is explosive.
A car chase in Florida may have provided the vital clue
Pull over!
to a national security mystery. Many U.S. officials and their families believe they've been injured by a secret weapon in the hands of a foreign adversary.
It's devastating. It's absolutely devastating.
For the first time,
let's see the Havana Syndrome emote. Let's see the Havana Syndrome lady in the chat.
Attacked?
My personal opinion, yes.
By whom?
That's what we're going to find out.
A car chase in Florida may have provided...
This is the guy. They found the guy. This guy was doing the brain ray, the microwave weapon. They found him. They got him. We got him, folks. This is the guy doing all the Havana Syndrome. Rogue Gusano false flag. I think that's probably the more likely outcome. Sure, we just did an ISIS attack inside Russia to go along with the one that we helped do in Iran as well. But Russia may have put crickets in our consulate. There's been a very loud, obnoxious sound. George Havana has been arrested. They got the guy to do it. 60 Minutes comes out on Sundays. Yeah, I don't know, this is like, they just put out this tweet to advertise for the show on Sunday. On Sunday, the expose is coming out. And we're going to be here on Monday. We're going to be here on Monday logging on to discuss this. I have Havana Syndrome. Please give me $200K a year to survive. Exactly. And make sure to not take it out of the $1 trillion defense budget. Let's pass some more. Let's pass some different bills to ensure that. We can't, all the $1 trillion annual defense budget, that's spoken for. We got to get extra health care for those folks with a separate spending bill. Right, it's a trailer. That's right. Exactly. Just cut libraries and public parks. You can find that money. Any chance they blame someone else this time? It's either Russia, Cuba, maybe DPRK could be like a sleeper. Like Hamas, that would be great to really tie it together. It was them all along. You see Chaz Palminteri doing the usual suspects thing, like dropping the coffee mug. Holy shit. Holy shit, it's been Hamas this whole time. They were the ones doing the Havana Syndrome. And I feel the same way about like Cuba or DPRK, but like if Hamas somehow developed this kind of like microwave weapon to give headaches to like US diplomats, I think they should be allowed to keep it. I think that's objectively a really incredible accomplishment. Or Cuba or any of these other nations that are under sanction. If Cuba's developing like microwave rays to give headaches to people, it's like you just got to give it up to them, you know? They should be allowed to keep it. Just quit. They developed brain rays. Could be a chance to pivot to blaming Ukraine. In another extremely probably a very painful thing. There's a new opinion piece, I think, in the Globe and Mail. I just saw this as well. There's a Justin Ling Ukraine piece in the Globe and Mail, which is behind a paywall, unfortunately, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to check that out. Justin Ling, just look at the title. Amazing. Justin Ling, thank you, Justin. Canada must empty its cupboards for Ukraine. Thank you, Justin. We haven't done enough. Canada hasn't done enough. Let's just keep throwing money at this thing. I'm sure they're going to repel the orc invasion any day now. If Canada just gives a few more billions of dollars. If we can send over a few more Stinger missiles or whatever it is, they're finally going to be able to do this. And Justin Ling, the way he does his reporting is he goes to these security conferences and he shows up and he gets his I don't need to read the piece. I have to go soon anyway, so I don't have time to read this whole piece. I'll open it up so maybe I can check it out later, but it's going to be too painful to look at anyways. Yeah, Justin Ling just goes to these security conferences. He gets his little lanyard. He shows up to the security conferences and all these defense industry guys tell him what's what. And he writes it down in his little notebook and then he goes and writes little pieces in the Globe and Mail about it. We need to send more money, more weapons to Ukraine. It's going to be resolved any day now. Yeah, I've got to get going soon, folks. I got to go pick up my kid from school. A measly 10 subs away from the goal. I will just point out one more time. Only 10 subs away from the goal, folks. And I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so it's your last chance for the week. It's your last chance for the week to subscribe to TRRS. If you try to subscribe tomorrow, I'm not going to be here. I can't help you. Only 10 measly little subs to go. Subscribe now before time runs out. Exactly. I'm using all this psychological salesman tricks. Yesterday, I went over to think questioning people's bravery. Limited time offer. Guaranteed, guaranteed, guaranteed. Not guaranteed. Purchase Rob a javelin missile. I think I should be allowed to have a javelin missile. Why not? Why can't I have one? I think that's the question we should be asking. I'll sub again when I'm not broke. And that is totally acceptable. Zaydiz. Zaids. Perhaps someone will even gift a sub. Did you watch Roadhouse? No, I didn't. I just didn't feel like there's any, I feel like I could just, watch the original Roadhouse rather than watching the new one. I did hear some people saying it was worth watching. It's really bad? Okay. Wasn't fishing for a gifted sub, but won't complain either. Well, I am fishing for it, sir. Or madam. Or non-binary person. I am fishing for it. Fun bad? What's the name? Gyllenhaal seems like he's having a good time. He seems like it's kind of entertaining.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Eigenbat, thanks for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Thank you, Eigenbat. Only 9 little bitty subs to go, folks, to get to the goal. Can you be the hero that steps up and helps drag my tired ass across the finish line? This is your last chance to give Rob money. Roadhouse isn't exactly amazing in the first place, so if the remake can't be fun, bad at least. That's what I don't really get. Like, why do we need to remake Roadhouse? Like, what are you possibly going to, like, add? You know?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Bleep Lord, for the gifted sub. And like, I think the original Roadhouse is good, like to on what you're saying, but that's what I mean. It's like some iconic classic film. It's a fun, dumb movie where Patrick Swayze looks hot and beats the shit out of people, you know? You know what I mean? Why do we need to, what are you going to improve on that? What are you possibly bringing to the table? Ripping throats. You got Sam Elliott as well, also looking weirdly hot as also. What is this remake accomplishing? What do you mean weirdly? I don't know. When I see Sam Elliott, usually he's got the gray hair and the mustache. Like he's a handsome guy, but you know. I don't know if I would say hot to describe Sam Elliott, but when you see him in that, it's like, okay, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, you could even just make a movie about Jake Gyllenhaal as a UFC fighter becoming a bouncer for a shitty bar. I mean, you could just do that without even remaking. You just rip off the idea. Like, it doesn't even need to be a remake. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to watch it. I might watch it just for like to have something put on. It looks like an okay movie to have on just like in the background if you're scrolling your phone. Okay, I got to get going. I've got to get going. So obviously the next 8 subs should be coming in any moment now. Those 8 final subs should be rolling in any second now. Any second now. It should be rolling on in. Any second now. unopened. What a weird day this is. What a weird day. I'll see you folks soon. Thanks for watching.